Hi guys, this is BlueMoonRisingTV and we're here to bring you the news we've all been waiting for, we all knew was going to happen. Gundogan has been announced. Gundogan is a Manchester City player. Now if you've not been following the whole Twitter escapade that's been going on, basically for weeks, if not months, the whole of Twitter has been saying to City, announce Gundogan, announce Gundogan, announce Gundogan, and they caved in.
Well, Gundogan caved in himself.
Yeah.
Gundogan announced himself on Twitter. That is possibly the most genius piece of marketing I've seen in a long time.
I already love the man,
yeah,
already.
A little winky smiley face, you know, he's down with the kids and all that, but he put announce Gundogan to City and they replied to him saying, okay, let's do this then, and then obviously they announced him. So brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, we all knew it was going to happen, it was just a matter of when, and now it has happened and we can all start thinking about the next player. No, but first of all, let's get into the nitty gritty. Let's talk about what we learned from the interview that he gave with City TV, which was great. Watch it, but not until you've watched this video, and the fee and everything. So yeah, the fee to start off with, we're looking at quite a cheap, in today's market, 21 million pounds.
That's an absolute bargain. This is the player that if he wasn't coming down towards the end of his contract, we'd be looking at closer to 40, quite literally that amount of money, because he's only 25 still. He's one of the best midfielders in the German league. We just saw this stat actually, we were doing a bit of research, how he's done 237 interceptions despite being injury prone in the last 2 years. So he's one of the most creative and one of the most diligent midfielders in the German league, and he's phenomenal. For 20 million pounds, that is an absolute bargain.
20 million doesn't buy you anything really.
No,
these
it's nothing.
days.
It gets you, what, I don't know, Jesus Navas, you know, which is not, well, yeah.
Navas cost, no, yeah, it was about that
About
price,
that.
wasn't he, Navas? So yeah, I mean, and for what he is, like you say, I think he had a year left on his contract. So I think there was a release clause. We activated it. We'll get on to why he chose City, because that's an interesting story in itself shortly. Let's get on to his position. So he's a midfielder. He can play all around midfield, I think, but he likes to play as a box-to-box midfielder, right?
I would say he's basically the perfect, complete modern-day midfielder. He's capable of absolutely everything. Pep likes to sign players who are very, very tactically aware, who have a real kind of understanding of all aspects of the midfield game in terms of very solid defensively, and can also create going forward. And Gundogan fits that down to an absolute T. He is creative, he's skillful, he's hard-working, he presses, he links from the defence to the attack. He's just a fantastic player, a complete box-to-box midfielder. There's not many of them around these days, but he's one of the dying breed of them, and very much like Fernandinho, but I would say even more so, even more energised.
Yeah.
I can see him fitting in perfectly in the centre midfield for us.
Watching YouTube clips, because that's how we all become experts on Gundogan suddenly.
That's all you need.
He's so good on the ball. He seems to be able to just dink passes from deep or right out to the wings. He just seems to be so comfortable on the ball.
That's what I really like about him, is his spatial awareness. It's that understanding. Certain players, you don't have to be the fastest player around, you don't have to be the strongest, you just have to think quicker. And that's what makes players seem faster than they are anyway, because he just sees what's about to happen before it even has. You see the clips of him, you watch him, and he's already turning before the ball's got to him. A bit like Xavi in that way, in terms of he knows exactly where he should be every single second. And that's why he's intercepting all these stray passes in midfield, because he just reads the game perfectly. And that's why he's also so good going forward, because he sees the pass before anyone else. He's turning away from defenders. He doesn't do step overs and tricks. He just uses his body weight, shifts it, and glides past people. And that's what makes him such an exciting prospect, and why personally I have no doubt that he'll adapt to the Premiership, because he just thinks quicker than most people, and that's half the battle in football.
Yeah, it doesn't look. I agree with you. It doesn't look the sort of player who would suffer in a certain league or do well in another, because he just seems complete, and he seems to be the guy who'll dictate rather than follow.
We all remember the performance at the Etihad a few years back when he absolutely ran us ragged, and this is no exaggeration, he was phenomenal that day. The best player on the pitch by a long, long way, and I'm pretty certain Soriano and Bergerstein were sat in the stands thinking he'd be all right in a blue shirt in a few years' time. And yeah, and now he is in a blue shirt, which is amazing. And people will play this down, and it's rubbish, because he is a top-class player, and I guarantee you, any fans of any other team would sign him, they would be just excited as we are, because he is top class. Yeah.
Okay, let's get on to why he has become Pep Guardiola's first signing. He is the beginning of the Pep era, the start of the revolution. I don't care how dramatic this sounds.
Big music.
It is, yeah. I mean, I need this voice. The start of the new Pep revolution. But it's true. Why do you think he was the first name on Guardiola's shopping list?
He is a midfielder, and to put it simply, the heart of any Guardiola team is a solid, creative, industrious midfield.
He said, didn't he, that if he could sign all the midfielders in the world, he would.
1,000 midfielders.
Yeah, that'd be
well, he's a midfielder himself, and maybe that's part of it, because he understands that a game is won and lost there, because everywhere else is a specialist role. Defenders defend, attackers score goals, midfielders do everything. They do absolutely everything. So he is part of what we're trying to recreate. I think it's fair to say that over the past year or two, maybe that's been one of our weaknesses. We've seen countless times, including Gundogan himself a few years ago, where teams have run past our midfield and bypassed a very static midfield line. Fernandinho, bless him, has done the work of two men for about 3 years now. And Yaya's a great player, but he's lost a lot of energy. There's been all these stats flying around how the amount of sprints he puts in per game has actually halved since 2 or 3 seasons ago, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So he doesn't have the legs anymore, Yaya, and we are overrun. So what Pep wants to do is totally recreate the midfield. He won't be the last midfield signing in my opinion either. I think we'll sign someone else. Okay. But he wants to really build it through the middle, and he fits his style down to perfection. He'll pass teams to death as well. He'll tackle. He just wants to win it there, doesn't he, Pep?
Okay. So the next big talking point, and what a lot of fans of other teams seem to be getting on about and praying for, is that his injury record. I mean, he's currently injured. He's missed a season in the past before. Put our doubts to rest, Stephen. Why should we not be so worried about these injuries?
It's absolute nonsense. I mean, there is. Basically, it's become a trend now that anyone who's linked to City, in terms of even Guardiola, people are now starting to declare him as some kind of fraud, simply because he's Manchester City's manager. Now, Gundogan apparently.
Jealousy? Is that, Stephen? This sounds like it to me, mate.
It's just childish nonsense. It really is. And to put people down of that immense quality, it's just a little bit of jealousy, as you said. There's a great quote from Gundogan today, actually, in the interview, how he said that any footballer, anyone who loves football, wants to play under Pep, which I just love hearing that.
Yeah,
but yeah,
we never seem to stop hearing that. Pogba said it as well. He improves any player,
and it's true.
Yeah,
it's not
massive
baseless.
Respect, isn't it? But so the injuries then. Let us know, what's the score with that?
Well, he's played 73 games over the past 2 seasons, which isn't bad for someone who apparently can't walk and can't run. He's had 2 very serious injuries. There's no point denying that, but they're not the kind of injuries that are linked together. What you should really be worried about as a footballer when you're signing them is if they've had recurring problems in the past. You look at Kompany's calves. If you were signing a player like Kompany now, I would be worried, because he gets 4 games and gets injured for 20. But Gundogan, he had a spinal compression, which is a freak injury. That's a strange one-off, once-in-a-lifetime moment that happens, and that put him out for a long time. But then he came back. He got his fitness back to peak condition again. Two great years in the Bundesliga, when he was one of the most impressive midfielders around. Still very young too. And then he dislocated his kneecap, which once again is an impact injury. It's just a bad fall, bad luck, really. This doesn't hint to me at someone who's injury prone. Injury prone is Darren Anderton, it's Vincent Kompany, it's maybe Sergio Aguero to a little bit, but it's not someone who has a break or whatever. I'm not having that, because the stats show that he's played around 40 games a season when he's not had these 2 serious injuries. Yeah. I'll take 40 games a season for a £20 million world-class player.
Yeah, 2 freak injuries, we can say, and hopefully. And he also, in the City TV interview, which we'll get onto a little bit shortly, he said that the doctors are saying that he's coming on and recuperating at a very good rate.
They were
saying originally they were looking at the start of September. Now they're starting to say end of August. Who knows what? But anyway, if he comes back for misses a couple of games at the start of the season, all's not lost.
No, well, De Bruyne didn't start really, did he, until September.
Yeah.
Nor did Otamendi, because that was just because of the selection thing. But a few games for Guardiola to get his impact on the current members of the squad is no bad thing at all. Don't rush him back, because it's a marathon, not a sprint, and all that. And as long as if we have him back even by mid-September, that's still absolutely brilliant. That's why he was in Barcelona. Apparently, they wanted to check on the condition of his knee before confirming everything. And the fact that it's been confirmed suggests that maybe they're all right with it. They're happy with it. So.
Okay, yeah, they wanted to double check. Okay, let's move on to him coming into the team. Who do you think's most at risk now of being pushed out? Obviously, one player coming in doesn't mean necessarily the end of anyone. But if you were to think about whose position he's going to move into, I mean, if we're looking at holding midfielders, we're looking at Yaya, Fernando, Fernandinho. Which one of those do you think is going to be at risk?
It's the big man, isn't it? It's Mr. Yaya Toure. There's been an obvious and really visible decline in his ability over the past few years.
Yeah.
And I don't want to slag off Yaya Toure because he quite literally single-handedly changed the mentality of the club, saving us with big goals and big moments.
Yeah.
But it happens, sometimes people just reach their peak, and from that moment there's only one way, and it's down. And he's a player who was built around his immense power, and that will lessen over time. So he's started to be on the wane a little bit. So I think Gundogan is his replacement, really. Maybe it might not happen straight away, but he is the long-term replacement. He's a different player, and you will never get another Yaya. Even Pogba isn't another Yaya because he's a one-off freak. He's a special player. Yaya's ability in terms of that kind of power and that also balletic mix of grace and elegance, we're not going to see that again, in my opinion, for a very, very long time. But we don't have to. We just get something different, and that's what Gundogan will bring. I think he'll sit alongside Fernandinho. They'll have two very complete players who will do everything defensively and going forward, and we'll have a very balanced team. Fernando will probably still be there, I reckon, as a holding midfielder. But I think it'll be Yaya's position who will be most at risk there.
Yeah, I mean, I think Yaya, as I keep mentioning, I'm reading Pep Confidential, everyone should go out and read it. But in that book, he talks about how he wants players and teams that are very well organised and very in line with his thinking. And I just see Yaya now being a player who's playing his own game out on that pitch. And unless that was just because Pellegrini just let him do what he wanted, which could be the case, God knows.
He does what he wants.
And maybe when Pep comes in, he'll suddenly become this ultra-organised, complete midfielder. I don't see it happening. But
there's a pig flying over there.
Who knows? But anyway, we'll see. But yeah, somebody's going to be at risk there because you can't fit every player into the City team. Okay, on the City TV interview, what moments do you think we can pick out? I want to point out that he seems like an ace guy.
He seems class, doesn't he?
Yeah, good sense of humour. His English is pretty much superb. It'll get better, obviously. He's speaking better English than Aguero and Navas. That's as in he can string a sentence together. So that's good. What else? I think I would like to also point out the way in which he spoke about Guardiola and Soriano and Cheeky.
Yeah, he said he had intense communications with Soriano and Cheeky, and he spoke a lot to Pep. So there's also been a picture leaked online of Cheeky and Guardiola coming back from a business meeting, so they've been on it straight away. I think the second Guardiola won the cup in Germany, I think he was straight on to City players, working towards the future. But yeah, he talked a lot about how any player in football appreciates how Guardiola plays, and it's that philosophy that excites him. And I don't think those are empty words. I think he genuinely believes that he's the kind of person who can take him to another level. If you look at what Pep did for Xabi Alonso, he resurrected a very old midfielder there and made him even better, which takes him doing. Alonso was still absolutely top class when he joined, but he got better despite being now 35 years old. And Xavi, obviously Pep took Xavi to another level, and some people have said he's a little bit similar stylistically to Xavi and Gundogan. So I think he'll be looking at Pep and thinking, this is a man who can elevate me to another level entirely. I'm already very good, but he can make me a genuine footballing great, and he has that ability too. He also talked a lot about how he's happy to be part of the City family. He also mentioned all the tweets, the announced Gundogan tweets. He said it's crazy, and it is. I don't think he's going to stop that. I think there's already a hashtag announced Laporte thing going around, isn't there?
It's kicked off into the next level now. But I think, he seems to have the right attitude. I think he's a good guy. I think he fits in with our I'll say no idiots policy. There's another word for it, which I'd use off camera. But I think so I think he'll really fit in. I think he's going to have the right attitude. Guardiola's obviously seen him playing week in, week out. He played against him, in fact, in his first games when the German Super Cup that Bayern lost, and Gundogan ran the show there as well, by all accounts.
He's also scored as well in the Champions League final.
Yeah, he's been to a Champions League final as well, which is one step further than we've been. And they talked about that in the interview as well, about how that's what everyone dreams of, and that's where they hope to get. So, guys, we're really excited about Gundogan. I think everybody is. But let us know what you think. Are you worried about his injuries? What do you think he'll bring to the team? Whose position is most likely in threat? And who do you reckon might come in the next coming weeks? Because we think we're going to see some quite intense activity.
I think it's going to be
City getting the business done early, right?
Yeah, very, very interesting summer. I think the money of the Chinese investment, the £400 million, I think there's going to be a big overhaul. I think we'll be surprised the amount of players that we bring in, the amount of money that we spend, because we can. So I think it's going to be very, very exciting.
Okay, guys, let us know what you think. Like, comment, subscribe. Tell us how happy you are. Tell us you're as happy as we are. Come on, City. Announce Pogba.